You were loyal, and they betrayed you. You trusted, and they broke you. You stood proud, and they humiliated you. You gave your best, and they forgot you. And now you sit there asking, why does this always happen to me? Today we solve that problem. We solve the problem of being too soft in a ruthless world. We solve the problem of being emotionally reactive when strategy is required. We solve the problem of losing power without realizing the rules were never in your favor. If you've been betrayed, broken, humiliated, or forgotten, good. Because now you are finally ready to understand power. Life does not reward innocence. It rewards awareness. You were not betrayed because you were weak. You were betrayed because you were predictable. You were not humiliated because you lacked worth. You were humiliated because someone needed to display dominance. You were not forgotten because you were unimportant. You were forgotten because you stopped being useful. Understand this, and your pain transforms into clarity. And clarity is the beginning of control. Betrayal is not an accident. It is a revelation. And revelation, though painful, is priceless. When someone betrays you, what truly shatters is not the relationship. It is the illusion you built around it. You believed loyalty was mutual. You believed intentions were pure. You believed your sincerity guaranteed safety. But the world does not operate on sincerity. It operates on interest. Pain enters your life the moment illusion leaves it. Most people waste betrayal. They drown in emotion. They replay conversations. They question their worth. They ask why. But the powerful ask something different. They ask what this pain is teaching them about human nature. Betrayal exposes hierarchy. It shows you who wants control. It shows you who envies you. It shows you who sees you as a stepping stone. The moment someone turns against you, they reveal how they truly measured you. And that knowledge is leverage. The naive heart says, I would never do that to them. The strategic mind says, now I understand what they are capable of. You must understand something critical. Betrayal is rarely emotional. It is calculated. Even when it appears impulsive, it is rooted in desire. Desire for status, advantage, attention, security, or power. People do not betray because they are evil. They betray because they believe they gain more by switching sides. Once you accept this, pain transforms into clarity. Clarity removes hesitation. Hesitation is weakness. When you are betrayed, your first instinct is confrontation. You want answers. You want apologies. You want justice. But confrontation often gives the betrayer exactly what they want. Confirmation that they affected you. Reaction feeds their sense of control. Silence unsettles them. Silence forces them to question what you know. Silence creates tension, and tension shifts power. Pain is a weapon because it sharpens perception. After betrayal, you begin to notice what you once ignored. The subtle tone changes, the forced smiles, the small acts of competition, disguised as support. You begin to see patterns in behavior. You become less trusting, but not paranoid, more observant, but not emotional. That shift is evolution. The person who has never been betrayed walks blindly into loyalty. The person who has tasted betrayal studies it like a scientist. They analyze how access was granted. They examine how information was shared. They evaluate how boundaries were crossed. They do not harden their heart. They harden their standards. There is a difference. When you weaponize pain, you stop giving trust freely. You start giving it strategically. Trust becomes an investment, not a gift. You test loyalty in small matters before entrusting larger ones. You watch how people behave when there is nothing to gain. You observe how they speak about others behind their backs, because one day that is how they will speak about you. Pain trains you to read ambition. Ambition is quiet when it needs you. It becomes ruthless when it no longer does. The moment you feel betrayed, resist the urge to announce your hurt. Emotional exposure reduces leverage. The more someone knows they wounded you, the more power they believe they hold. Maintain composure. Continue operating normally. Let them wonder whether their betrayal succeeded. Uncertainty disturbs the guilty, and disturbance makes mistakes. You must also accept responsibility, not for their betrayal, but for your vulnerability. Where did you overshare? Where did you ignore your instincts? Where did you mistake flattery for loyalty? These questions are not for self-blame. They are for strategic correction. Power grows where awareness replaces innocence. Being betrayed once is painful. Being betrayed twice the same way is negligence. Pain, when directed properly, builds discipline. You become selective with your circle. You speak less about your plans. You reveal achievements only when necessary. You understand that visibility attracts both admiration and competition. Not everyone who claps for you wants you ahead of them. Betrayal also teaches emotional control. The initial sting is natural. The surge of anger is expected. But mastery begins when emotion does not dictate action. A calm exterior, while recalculating internally, creates advantage. Those who betrayed you expect chaos. They expect confrontation. They expect visible damage. When you offer none, you alter the script. You must realize that loyalty is not proven in comfort. It is proven in conflict. Anyone can stand beside you when you are strong and beneficial. The real test appears when supporting you costs them something. Pain reveals who stayed neutral when you were attacked. Neutrality in moments of injustice is quiet betrayal. Remember that. Every betrayal redraws the map of your alliances. Some people will remove themselves from your journey. Let them. Holding on to disloyalty is more dangerous than losing companionship. A smaller circle with proven loyalty is more powerful than a crowded room of opportunists. Your pain is evidence that you trusted. That is not weakness. It is strength, misplaced. Now you refine where it belongs. Weaponized pain does not seek revenge immediately. It seeks positioning. It observes timing. It strengthens skill. It builds influence quietly. When you improve beyond the reach of those who betrayed you, your growth becomes the silent consequence of their decision. And consequences speak louder than confrontation. The greatest mistake after betrayal is becoming openly bitter. Bitterness signals damage. Composure signals recalibration. The world watches how you respond more than what happened to you. If you crumble publicly, you confirm their judgment. If you elevate quietly, you challenge it. Pain is a weapon because it strips you of naivety and replaces it with precision. You move differently. You listen more than you speak. You measure words. You protect access to your inner circle. You separate friendship from strategy. You no longer assume alignment. You verify it. Betrayal did not destroy you. It educated you. It showed you that loyalty without discernment is vulnerability. It showed you that emotions without discipline are liabilities. It showed you that power belongs to those who adapt quickly. From now on, you do not fear betrayal. You anticipate possibility, and anticipation is control. When you are wounded, the instinct is to react, to defend, to explain, to shout your truth so loudly that the world cannot misunderstand you. But reaction is surrender. The moment you react emotionally, you hand control of the situation to the one who provoked you. Silence is not weakness. Silence is restraint, and restraint is power under control. Most conflicts are not won by the loudest voice. They are won by the calmest presence. When someone insults you, betrays you, or humiliates you publicly, they are not just attacking your character. They are testing your emotional discipline. They are measuring how easily you can be moved. If you are easily moved, you are easily manipulated. Reaction exposes your pressure points. It reveals what hurts you, what angers you, what destabilizes you. The more you display your emotions openly, the more information you provide. And information in the wrong hands becomes a weapon against you. Silence withholds that weapon. There is something unsettling about a person who does not react as expected. When attacked, most people defend. When accused, most people argue. When insulted, most people retaliate. But when you simply observe, when you respond with controlled composure, when you choose stillness over chaos, you shift the psychological balance. You force the other person to confront their own noise. Reaction satisfies the aggressor. Silence starves them. Understand the deeper psychology. When someone provokes you, they seek confirmation. They want to see anger in your eyes. They want to hear desperation in your voice. They want proof that they have penetrated your calm. If you grant them that proof, you reward their behavior. But if you offer nothing, no raised tone, no emotional display, no defensive speech, you create uncertainty. And uncertainty breeds discomfort. Discomfort weakens aggression. Silence is not about suppressing emotion. It is about controlling its timing. Internally, you may feel anger. You may feel humiliation. You may feel the urge to defend yourself immediately. But power lies in delaying expression, in giving yourself space between feeling and action. That space is where strategy is born. When you react instantly, you act from impulse. Impulse is predictable. Predictability is exploitable. Those who know your temper can trigger it. Those who know your insecurities can provoke them. Those who understand your emotional patterns can guide you into mistakes. Silence breaks that pattern. A composed exterior creates mystery. People begin to wonder what you are thinking. They question whether you are planning something. They doubt whether their attack succeeded. Your stillness becomes intimidating because it cannot be read, and what cannot be read cannot be easily defeated. Consider public humiliation. Someone attempts to lower your status in front of others. They make a remark, a joke, a criticism designed to make you appear small. If you react defensively, you validate the attack. You signal that it struck you. The audience senses it. The aggressor gains temporary dominance. But if you smile calmly, if you respond briefly and move on, or if you choose not to respond at all, you deny them that dominance. The audience observes your composure. They begin to question the aggressor's motives instead of your worth. Composure shifts perception. Perception shapes reputation. Reputation determines influence. Silence also protects you from self-sabotage. Many reputations are destroyed not by enemies, but by emotional outbursts. A single uncontrolled moment can overshadow years of discipline. Words spoken in anger cannot be retrieved. Messages sent in frustration cannot be erased from memory. Silence prevents regret. There is also strength in selective response. Not every accusation deserves an answer. Not every insult requires correction. When you respond to everything, you elevate trivial attacks. When you ignore what is beneath you, you signal that it lacks importance. Attention is currency. Spend it carefully. Silence forces others to reveal more about themselves. In conversations, the one who speaks less often learns more. When you resist the urge to fill every pause, people expose their intentions. They elaborate, they over-explain, they contradict themselves. In their attempt to provoke or dominate, they reveal their strategy. While they speak, you observe. While they react, you calculate. In moments of betrayal, silence becomes your shield. The natural impulse is confrontation, to demand explanations, to insist on accountability. But confrontation often gives the betrayer clarity about your emotional state. It tells them how deeply they affected you. It informs them how much damage they caused. Silence keeps them guessing. Anxiety disrupts confidence. You must learn to detach ego from reaction. Many reactions are driven by pride. You feel disrespected, so you must restore honor immediately. You feel misunderstood, so you must clarify your image instantly. But true power does not rush to defend itself. It understands that time reveals truth more effectively than argument. When you remain silent, you create room for consequences to unfold naturally. Silence is also a form of discipline over self-image. You do not need to convince everyone of your value. You do not need to win every debate. You do not need to correct every rumor personally. Those who matter will observe your consistency. Those who do not were never your audience. Control your internal storm before attempting to control the external situation. Emotion. Mastery intimidates those who rely on emotional chaos. People who manipulate others depend on predictable reactions. They provoke anger to paint you as unstable. They provoke defensiveness to label you insecure. They provoke fear to dominate you. If you refuse to react on their terms, you remove their tools. Without your reaction, their strategy collapses. Silence also grants you time to gather information, time to assess alliances, time to identify motives, time to decide whether response is even necessary. Acting too soon locks you into a position. Waiting allows options. Options are power. It means patience. It means observing the battlefield before drawing your weapon. It means understanding that emotional noise clouds judgment. When you master silence, you control the tempo of conflict. You decide when to speak. You decide when to act. You decide when to ignore. You are no longer dragged by provocation. You are guided by intention. In a world addicted to immediate reaction, calm restraint is rare, and rarity commands respect. When you are humiliated, your first instinct is retaliation. You want to respond immediately. You want to restore balance. You want to prove, in that very moment, that you are not weak, not inferior, not deserving of the disrespect thrown at you. But immediate revenge is emotional, and emotional revenge is messy. True revenge is strategic. It is patient. It is silent. And most importantly, it is visible only when it is complete. Humiliations is rarely about truth. It is about status. Someone attempts to lower your position in order to raise their own. They may mock you, criticize you publicly, undermine your credibility, or expose your vulnerabilities in front of others. The goal is not correction. The goal is dominance. If you retaliate with equal aggression, you enter their arena, you fight on their terms, you validate their challenge. But if you rise above the moment and choose to build instead of bark, you shift the battlefield entirely. Reputation is slow power. It accumulates through consistency, discipline, and visible competence. While others chase temporary victories through public attacks, you build a foundation that cannot be shaken by a single insult. The strongest answer to humiliation is undeniable success. When your name becomes associated with excellence, influence, or authority, past insults lose their weight. The same people who once questioned you begin to measure their words carefully. The crowd that once laughed begins to observe silently. Perception changes not because you argued, but because you elevated. Reputation secures the future. Understand that humiliation often reveals insecurity in the aggressor. Confident individuals do not need to belittle others publicly. They do not need to prove superiority through mockery. When someone tries to embarrass you, they are signaling competition. They see you as a threat. That realization should not anger you. It should inform you. If they see you as a threat, your task is not to diminish yourself to appear harmless. Your task is to grow beyond their reach. Reputation is built in silence, but displayed in results. It requires discipline when no one is watching. It demands improvement when applause is absent. It grows in the shadows of criticism. Each insult becomes motivation. Each doubt becomes fuel. Instead of plotting immediate retaliation, you invest in skill. You refine your craft. You expand your knowledge. You strengthen your network. You increase your value so profoundly that disrespect becomes irrational. Over time, people adjust their behavior according to what benefits them. When your reputation rises, alignment with you becomes advantageous. The same individuals who once dismissed you may attempt to reconnect, not out of remorse, but out of interest. Power attracts loyalty. This is why reputation is a superior form of revenge. It transforms the social landscape around you. It changes how people approach you, speak to you, and think about you. It redefines the narrative without you needing to defend it directly. When you respond to humiliation with rage, you appear unstable. When you respond with composure and progress, you appear formidable. The world respects composure under pressure more than loud resistance. Reputation also protects you. A single accusation or insult carries less impact when your character has been proven repeatedly. A strong reputation acts as armor. It absorbs attacks and weakens their effect. Building such armor requires consistency. You cannot demand respect. You must demonstrate reliability. You cannot force admiration. You must earn it through visible growth. Over time, your actions speak so loudly that criticism sounds distant. Achievement remains. This approach requires emotional maturity. It requires swallowing pride in the short term for dominance in the long term. It requires understanding that the most satisfying revenge is not seeing your opponents suffer, but watching them adjust their behavior because of your elevation. There is quiet power in walking past those who once mocked you, knowing that your position no longer requires their approval. There is strength in hearing your name mentioned with respect by those who once underestimated you. Reputation reshapes memory. The narrative shifts from the one who was humiliated to the one who rose. The focus moves from the insult to the outcome. People remember results longer than they remember ridicule. When you choose reputation over retaliation, you trade temporary satisfaction for permanent influence. You refuse to be defined by a single moment of embarrassment. You decide that your identity will be shaped by your achievements, not by someone else's attempt to diminish you. And as your influence grows, those who once sought to embarrass you become cautious, because attacking someone with a strong reputation carries risk. The higher your standing, the more dangerous it becomes for others to challenge you without reason. Your growth becomes the silent correction of their disrespect. Betrayal was not your destruction, it was your awakening. Being broken was not your weakness, It was the collapse of illusions that kept you naive. Humiliation was not your defeat. It was a test of your composure. Being forgotten was not your erasure. It was your opportunity to rebuild without pressure. You were not attacked because you are worthless. You were challenged because you are capable. The world does not test what it considers insignificant. It tests what has potential. Pain taught you awareness. Silence taught you control. Humiliation taught you restraint. Obscurity taught you discipline. Now you understand something most people never learn. Power is not loud. It does not scream when wounded. It does not rush when insulted. It does not beg when abandoned. It observes, it adapts, it calculates. The version of you that trusted blindly is gone. The version of you that reacted emotionally is fading. In its place stands someone more measured, more selective, more dangerous in their calm. You no longer seek immediate revenge. You build reputation. You no longer expose your plans. You move quietly. You no longer fear betrayal. You anticipate it. This is transformation. Not into someone cruel, but into someone controlled. Not into someone cold, but into someone aware. You keep your kindness, but you protect it with boundaries. You keep your ambition, but you told it with strategy. Let others chase attention. Let others argue loudly. Let others reveal themselves in moments of weakness. You remain composed. Those who humiliated you will witness your stability. Those who forgot you will notice your absence in their lives more than you ever noticed theirs, and you will not need to say a word. Because the greatest response to betrayal, humiliation, and rejection is undeniable evolution. You were tested. Now you are prepared.